Welcome to the Real Double Dose Channel broadcast station, focused on the real reels of real life, love, growth, and of course, elevation within all levels. RDDC is exactly the place where anyone can discover more depth, love, light, and clarity within themselves, and elevate from other people's walks of life, conversations, and questions, along with deeper insights. So tune in and be a part of the Double Doses with Lexus T and RDDC.
Okay. This is the Lex Effect. Yes, it is. Welcome back, everybody, to the Real Double Dose channel. And this is the hashtag RDC, as well as FDS, which flipped the switch in S&M elevation always before FDS came in. But we're just going to put that out there. I'm sorry, but I have to not apologize and apologize at the same time for any noise frequency that you hear. This is life. These things happen. There's construction going on down the other office way. There's other stuff heading up, and it's probably about 85 degrees right now. And I decided no AC. Let's have a little bit of the fan, but we're live direct and we're keeping it a slice of everyday life, right? So welcome back to the Real Double Dose channel. This is your host, Lex, coming back to you always straight from the heart where the talk is real and the vibe is always live. Okay. Having a slice of life where it's always right. And if any of you are listening on TuneIn, Stitcher Radio, Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Podchaser, Google Cast, Podcast Addict, I almost forgot about it, Giovanni, Pandora, and different ones. And I know there's other, I'm not sure of the syncing of Spotify, but at the same time, there is another, it might be another page that Angela put up that's under the real one that we had. I think we did a tester one way back when. But either way, the channels are still showing us that you're very well going on here and listening, SoundCloud and so much more. We're very happy to have you on here and thank you once again. We're rolling out and our new additional team members, hashtag we are shouting out our love to you, hashtag Miss Pretty, hashtag Banu, to come and still roll on. And we have many more wonderful things coming out to you. So I want to get into this conversation with you, not to go too long in variations, but I want to be able to talk to you about something that basically, just needs to go. And my thing is a conversation that is exactly where life needs to be. Now, I'm going to say this because I think it has to be said. And at the same time, I'm going to make sure I put a timer on this so I can know where we are. Right. So if you hear the buzzer go off, I want to see where I can just impactfully put this into you under the 15-minute mark. But at the same time, it's not about the race, but I want it to be enough for you to take with you and have those cosas así en tu vida siempre. Okay. Have those things with you always in your life. Okay. So let's get here for a second so I can make sure I get these notes specifically for you. All right. Okay, I had to do a little pause mode here. But the thing is, I'm going to read this off from you as much as I can, because when I write down different things, the text to speech kind of thing, when I'm in the rush, you can't sometimes get the words to come out right. And you all who have devices and use these elements, you know what I'm talking about, even though I'm deep in the AI humanoid chatbot field kind of thing. Different utilizations for it, right? But it's called hashtag. This episode is in particularly given to God, the glory of all things, the glory of everything. But this is always inspired by God first and foremost, and never by Lex. It's the Lex effect that comes from God, not me. So all glory be to what it is and all what it always has been. And this is the real double doses of life. Triple doses too, but it's going to be right here. So I have the notes, and I'm going to give you just a synopsis of it, but it's the flower, hashtag the flower in the landfill. The landfill, and we're going to, ask Google real quick. Hey, Google, if it answers me. Okay, Google, definition of landfill.
Here's the definition of landfill. A place to dispose of refuse and other waste material by burying it and covering it over with soil, especially as a method of filling in or extending usable land.
Okay. So now you've heard it from the Google Assistant herself. If not, like Edward Cullen said on Twilight, one of my most epic favorite movies, You can Google it, right? But the flower in the landfill. So basically, it's where you put your garbage and the nastiness that we all waste up out of here. So how can a flower grow inside of the seepage and sewage and the gases and the rotten nature of the landfill, but yet it somehow tries to hold on and not get the poison of its vile substances and substances around it? That's what happened to me. And with people rolling out their horrible words and their foul spirits, eventually that flower becomes a part of the rotten nature, that landfill. And although it's still a flower and its fragments of beauty and all that it has, so much around it, the corrosion on it, that ultimately needs to prey upon it to keep it away from the sun and the grass and the water to flourish it into a new place, a new beginning and a new being, so we can thrive and what it is originally made to be for. That's what we call the flower in the landfill. Now, these are chopped up kind of notes, but I'm trying to put it together. Ultimately, the question is, how did the flower actually get into the landfill? Boom, bars. Okay, we're going to get that here. And I'm actually going to see if I can take a screenshot of this so I don't have to keep this window open. Just keeping it raw form. We're still in good timing right now. All right, we're good. And at the end of the day, I just want to make sure we all know something. And that is, life is always going to be the way we want it to be. That's pretty much what it is. And ultimately, we have to make it the best of what we can. So I say that, and then you maybe listen to this part, and I stopped the stopwatch at this point. I don't have time for that. I'm going deep into conversations with my lovelies, my RDC families, and that is you all, and there's no timer to real doses of life. We'll just keep it concise into what we got to say. But I just want to say that the flower in the landfill itself is this beautiful, and we are all given this beautiful opportunity to be these gorgeous flowers. No matter if one's a tulip or rose and an orchid, or the most exotic ones, or the most ones, the Venus flytraps or whatever we see out there, where we're wondering, why was that in particularly made? The daisies, the begonias, and the daffodils, and everything else. And I can't remember the one of my favorite. I don't even know why I can't think of the one that is made. The lilacs, maybe, the lilies. But either way, I find it very hard to see myself there. I mean, let me just be open. It's been hard. Not that profanity hasn't been. It has not been in a way of my life, obviously. Even growing up vegetarian, different stuff like that, and the different Seventh-day movements we had, and growing up to the Native culture and the Colombian cultures of different religious backgrounds, and overall very diversified, and learning from my friends from Cambodia to Venezuela to China to Russia to Germany to France, some other friends from Switzerland, some other friends from Canada, different places, around here, Philadelphia, Florida, Nueva York, New Jersey, or excuse me, New York, New Jersey, everywhere, Cali, or, Oregon, Montana, everywhere, Wyoming, all of them, Texas, boom. I could go on and on. So the whole conversation with that is, having that, people have different conversations. And I used to be able to have that in my spiritual death in California. It was like this guard up, it was naturally there. And the netting would just silence it. But I noticed through coming back to the Minnesota area, hearing different colleagues when I was downtown, and being able to areas and work with them, and just their profanity, their conversation, the heaviness of it, not just the F-bomb and a stupid this and a this, whatever, but it was just the heaviness of their aura. And I realized with that spiritual death, I had to be prepared when God prepared me to come back up here from Cali for the deaths of my siblings, the death of my dad, all of my uncles, probably about 10 funerals in the last 8 years for sure. Just different things, and people say, well, how can you bounce? Because eventually I'm going to be right where they are, whether it be in a box or it be in a beautiful urn with my ashes or whatever, I'm going to be there. But we all have a ticket into death once we enter life. That is the truth. And no matter how much we try to escape it or not, or prolong it. It's always waiting around the corner, whenever that day comes. And it's good that we don't know when it comes, so we don't have to prepare ourselves for that day. And we still can see how life is rolled out. Will we take it that serious if we're only given 30? Or if we knew we had 90, would we just chill for 50 and then try to rush at the last 40? You never know, right? But what I'm going to say is I find myself, and I want you to take yourself into this, not just myself looking at, me. This is not just a Lex factor. And don't forget, we're going to be rolling out the hashtag Lex Effect Coaching. Rolling out. I have a very whimsical site going on with Angela. We're working on different elements, and I just wanted to be simplistic, beautiful, and bringing you into almost a fairy tale of what you can transform it in many different ways. Life doesn't have to be the way that people tell you that fairy tales don't exist. They're lying, because every moment a fairy tale is being born, and it's a God tale, not a fairy. Okay, God tales. Boom. TALES and TELLS. Get it? So. Reverting back to that, the landfill. How can a flower grow inside the seepage and sewage, the gases and rotten nature of that landfill, the vile substances is around, right? The horrible words, the foul spirits, eventually that flower becomes a part of that rotten nature. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I found myself slipping, and I have no shame in it. When people say, oh, you work like this, you're always in the spirit, and God works up. Yes, that's true. But at the same time, for his prophets or anointed or appointed, apostles, his leaders, his oracles, whatever God sees fit, they still have a lot of junk in the trunk, right? I have a lot of different things going. I wouldn't say junk, but this heaviness that I need to take off of me from everybody. And that comes down from the team, from everything going on with the journey. And it's not a burden, but it's something that can become a burden by not unloading it and offloading it when it's time. You see, if a truck keeps going and driving and picking up load after load after load, and it's supposed to drop it off at the max cap of, let's say, 4,000 pounds, but yet it's still putting on box after box, letting out one box, but still picking up two, dropping off two boxes, but still picking up three or four. You're still getting to the point of where you're tilting on that truck, just completely giving out on you, or slowing down the journey of what you have, or more things better to be loaded upon there for you. And that's the same thing as a ship. Your ship is meant to sail you over to where you have to go. But as long as you keep taking on passengers that don't need rescuing, but we seem to think we need to, even though there's life rafts and other boats there for them, we seem to take it on ourselves, meaning, well, maybe this is it. Maybe no, there's no maybe with God. There just is and there isn't. And if we clarify that and clear it out, then we can hear the voice even better. And I realized through time, it wasn't me shifting away from wanting to be near God. It was me allowing other people, things, and circumstances to come in the way between God and I. And that was completely my fault. And a lot of things are out of our fault. And I also look at it to the point of where I'm like, man, I'm always trying to serve my purpose, but don't let everybody just have a certain qualm to get at you, right? Make yourself unavailable because you want to spend time with God and getting to know the self within the self. And that is God of the self, right? Know that. Don't just say, oh, I'm going to just do this a little R&R. There's nothing wrong with sitting down, having some tea. There's nothing wrong with getting a foot massage or relaxing or taking care of your health so you can actually tune in. But it's not about pampering yourself to feel better in your flesh. It's about being able to connect that all that is that heals and rediscovers your insides and does the whole flesh and wipes away the carnality of it. There's different ways to chop it. Everybody's going to perceive it where they want and say this and this and that. And, what about this and that? Okay, we get it. But at the same time, where is your flower at? Where do you see yourself with your beautiful petals, your stems, the nectar sitting in there? Where do you see yourself at? Do you feel like you're a flower stuck in the landfill of all the foulness around you? We have that in the world from the news and all the craziness of people hurting babies and doing ignorant stuff. I just don't even want to go down that road. But then you find yourself in your own little bubble, always finding trouble. That's for me too. Like, I could literally go down and let's say, for example, right now, let's just say heck versus hell with the truth be told on Fridays. Sitting there relaxing. Let's just say for that, he might call and say, oh, I'm looking for this paper or something. Can you help me find it? Angela, Angela's been rocking with us from the beginning. She's the low-key voice that doesn't like to be on the scene, and I respect that, and I told her I would respect that from the beginning of our journey nearly 8 years ago now, for RDC. So I look at that and I'm thinking to myself, man, every little thing, it could be the doorbell ringing. It could be me going to stop and sitting in the store and people needing to have some healing. I do more sessions offline and more healing for others offline always than I ever have online. That I'm actually like aware of, and some people will hashtag out this, and that. But, a lot of your stuff can't be brought from offline online because it's authenticity. It's genuosity. And doesn't mean because people are online getting that, it's not true per se. But at the same time, I had more of that physicality going on. So the flower in the landfill, hashtag the flower in the landfill. It means we have to look at a deeper perspective. How to take that corrosion and clean it up off of us. Because remember, the flour also absorbs where it's at. That's not soil. That's corrosion. That's sewage. That's seepage. And even though we have enough to sustain us to still keep the look of that flour, we only have so much time before we completely die and become a part of that landfill. So how did that flour actually get to that landfill, right? And I see it as this, and I want to know your perspectives of it and think about this yourself. But how did you get into that situation? I want you to go back in your mind. I had to do this when I had my transition completely in Cali, the spiritual death, and really think, how did I get to this? Why did I ignore the warning signs? Why? Because I wanted to feel good in the moment and put my doubts in the past, right? But at the same time, no matter how many visions God gave me, no matter how much I was able to see, born from a line of seers, it's just the point where I'm like, man, where happened to my my clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognitive, I forget the names. Where did all that come in? And even though they were triggering off like beep, 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 I still was like, I'm escaping one reality to go to another one. I'd rather go to the unknown and have a heck of a ride. Because, when you have a life like mine, I mean, even the most daredevilish things like jumping out of a car going 40 something miles an hour like I did before, it's like, it's not adrenaline junkie per se, it's just the point where you're like, man, what's the worst that could happen? But now I look at it like, man, what's the worst that can happen if I don't fulfill the mission of the only father that I've known consistently in my life, and that is God, all the allness. And father just means the beginning of too. It doesn't have to be a gender related. Well, God is a woman and God is this. We're not getting into all that. God is everything. Okay. That's how we're here. Male and female. Let's get together. Okay. So I don't want you to get distracted with all that and your mind blocked off, because the world, it just teaches you how to be distracted with the littlest things and not focusing on the bigger picture. How did we get into the landfill? How did I get around people cussing and cursing all the time and allowing that energy to come in my field? Huh? How did we get into that? Oh my gosh, I'm having a pack of cookies every day with a bag of chips. How did that happen when you just had the nice, delicious avocado, and you were eating it with some sliced tomatoes and some turkey and some Swiss? Oh, that sounds phenomenal. You can tell dinner's coming for me soon. Vegetable soup and turkey, baby. But I'm saying, like, whatever your taste buds flow for, your typical diet that's hopefully healthy and robust, how did it get to that? Or how did it get to the point of your loved one or your significant other being able to go out more so without you and having to hide their phone and being a certain way, or the communication stop? How did it get to the point of where you just completely don't even feel like doing anything? Look at the root of where everything starts. Go back one by one by one. Don't just say, oh, it had to have been this. No, look at how it got there. Oh, it could be this. No, look, really take some time, be quiet. Get a pen if you have to and write down connecting dots of where it came in your life for you to look at that point and say, oh my goodness, that's where it came from. Because I started looking at a lot of stuff in my life. I mean, a lot, from all of it. And being such a connected being, even though I've had so much distortion and so much landfill waste thrown on me from other people, God put a coating on me that still can leave a residue, but it's still enough to be able to be cleaned off until I renew that spirit again. And no matter how many things I do, I know there's different humanity points that I have, because I am a soul. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. The soul We have the spirit, we have the body, we have the mind, we have all of these different connectivities that all align itself. But I want to ask everybody, are you doing enough to make sure you get out of that landfill, or before you get into the landfill, or how much of the waste and seepage and sewage that landfill has done to you? I had to ask you that. When is it going to be time for us to reach out for the sun that's already shining on us? The clear water and the pathways that's just waiting on us. And the wonderful, deep, rich, darkened soil that's just there to keep our roots growing deeper. See, a lot of the times we have our bodies and minds and spirit, everything connected into a rooting system. But we forget while we're getting sick, because we got to be careful where our roots are and what ground they're in. See, some things might not even look like a landfill. You might think, hey, Lex, what do you mean? Like, we can tell there's pop cans and this and this and that. No, baby, because sometimes when you see someone, and I know a lot of people see people, and you see them all smelling good, nice, all ching, and they smile. And the moment they invite you to their home, or they show you how they act out in public, even if it's on a lunch, even just a certain conversation you'll pick up little cues where it's not the point of, ooh, nitpicking. It's the point of, ooh, wow. Person comes out very neat, clean, and smelling good, but when I go to their house, it's complete trash. At the end of the day, it shows you the inside of how they feel, even their car. Now, maybe they need help with it, and maybe that is what it is, but eventually, even if you saw that person a few weeks later, you would see that there's something going on, that pattern keeps repeating itself. At the end of the day, we have to make sure our rooting system is rooted where God wants it to be and where God is leading us to be. And you might say, I might not hear it. I don't know how to hear the voice of God. I don't know how to listen. I don't know. Well, you're listening right now. It's that you have to quiet your mind enough and move your thoughts out the way. Stop thinking about this. I know. I've been trying to pray even before I put my feet down. And it's like, oh, did I do this? I got to get the body wash here. I got to make sure I get this. Is there enough Q-tips over here? Is there enough this? And I'm like, shh. Let's breathe. God, please lead me and direct me. Give me this moment, Lord. I can't circulate my thoughts. I can't get them where I want to, but you know where my heart is, Lord. And I'm telling you from the depths of me, and you know every part of me, that I want to get on a journey to be able to be closest to you. Now, I know a lot of people will have a conversation where they just want to go to prayer or go to God to ask, and what's up with this and that. Like, God is not an 8-ball you can shake up and ask questions for. That's disrespectful in every way. It's a true connection. I was telling a lot of my wonderful extended family that's behind the walls that we're rolling out that with as well, even more so over this past decade plus, that you have to truly want the divine connection with God and be willing to take the steps that come forth. And I'm working on that every day, even more so. You have to be, and it's not about just being the ultimate one out there who just beats his chest and knows all the words of the Bible and all the quotes and the scriptures and this and what God said. It's not about being that. It's about having your own intimate connection with the only source of all things that will ever give a beepity beep beep about you more than you think anybody else will. God will love you and does love you beyond your children, beyond your spouse, beyond yourself, beyond what you think a mother or a father's love or a sister's love or uncle's love will ever be. And you say, I can't think that way. I could never love anything. No, and that's the problem. Until you understand the true connection of God, you'll never understand the love that you think that you have. So you have a carnal love. You have a deep emotional rooted love, and it's still in a soulful connection of the flesh. It's not that spiritual in-depth love. Because if you realize that, regardless of who said it or not, and I don't remember the quote, but it could have been a monk, it could have been someone. But I remember, I don't know what his name is, and maybe you guys can look that up too. But it says to be connected to everything and attached to nothing. That is bars. See, that's what true depth of spirituality will get you. So I want to leave this right here for us all. We might have a part 2 about this. I'm not sure, but think about hashtag the flower in the landfill. Where are you at in perspective of it? Where did you go inside of yourself to find out how you got there? So let's assess that. What are you going to do if you feel that you are there? What steps are you willing to take? clear your mind, speak about it in prayer and intimacy in a conversation between you and God. If not, I'm not going to say your higher power, higher source or universe, because we know what all is, and that's God. Okay. Abba, the Father. Also, the beginning of all things, the starter of all things. Also, get to a point of where you have a plan and you're going to say, well, this is what I'm going to stop doing. I'm going to stop accepting these calls from this person. I'm going to start, if that's the case for you, I'm going to start changing this food up with this. I'm going to start going to this route a little bit more instead of this so I don't get delayed on here. And this is stuff that I'm assessing in my life as well. So please believe me. And it's called, practice what you preach and preach what you practice over here, right? And then at the same time, it's like, okay, I'm going to say some extra things about myself to enlighten and encourage myself and do better with it, right? It's called doing better every day. At least when we know, whether we're in the landfill or stepping out of it, baby, look, know this. At least if it's your or our time, when it's time for us to go. That day we were making a conscious effort before God Almighty to be, well, who knows everything. We can't lie to God and don't even try to make a conscious effort to say, I'm going to do something better today. Now, it could be tremendous. Now, my energy level is very low lately, a lot lately, especially since the COVID happened and my mother's head injury. So I say since 2021, probably like mid 2021, my energies have been completely crazy. But since COVID happened in 2022, about April, I think, right after my birthday, it completely took me for a long COVID spin when it came down to drowsiness and tiredness, and not to mention everything. There's probably the amount of like 10 lifetimes for people. I've gotten that feedback already that is just there. So even I can give energy, some days it fluctuates where I have a lot of it. And sometimes I'm like, okay, and then the spiritual vessel that I am, people plug into me a lot even when I don't want them to. So it's a whole nother level of that, but I'm never going to stop serving as much as I can. I want to say that I appreciate all you being here, and just make sure you know where you are in your landfill moment, or if you feel like you're going there or starting to collect up around you, because sometimes it can look like a green field and underneath the surface, there's still poison. Boom. There's still toxic that's been dumped in that ground. And maybe the grass hasn't just turned, or maybe it's dead on top and live looking on top and dead roots on the bottom. But either way, know when it's time to kick off the dust. Know when it's time to uproot the roots of yourself and put yourself in a cleaner environment somehow, somewhere. There is a way. If you have any more questions about any of that, we're going to be having an email available specifically to people who want to do an outreach or anything else. We love the Real Double Dose channel at Yandex at YANDEX.com. Don't get us wrong. We love it. But at this point, after all these years, there's probably about maybe 42,000 pieces of mail going on in there. And it's still going through very nicely. We'll probably say right now, we probably get, I know maybe get at least maybe like 3 or 4 that I know of, 400 emails, 300 to 400 emails a day. But at the same time, a lot of them are important with different stuff and a lot of inquiries, but we'll have that ready for you. If you do want to come on the show and have a conversation or even set you up possibly with your own TV channel, we're going to be opening at those doors as well. And don't forget, we are the AI human semi-specialists because we're not rolled out all the way yet, but we're getting there. Anyhow, I just want to say hashtag the landfill. Yes, the flower in the landfill. Remember where you are in retrospect of where you need to be. And remember that every day that you're not moving on something that you're supposed to do, you're holding it back. You have blood on your hands. And it could be yours or your family, someone's. You do. And I don't care if you feel as guilty or not. That's true. When you're like, I'll think about it. Oh, I don't know. It's like you're making up excuses. You actually have the audacity. And I'm going to say that we all do, to think that you have every tomorrow. And that's what life will teach you. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. You don't even know if you're going to wake up in 6 hours. I'll do it next week. You don't even know if you'll be able to have the next 2 days. I'm sorry, that was my bracelet right there. I felt the wind or something touching me. And I just feel like at the same time, why are people so hesitant about it? That's a landfill kind of connection that they're in too. It's a thing to where they feel stagnant, to where they're like, oh, I'm fine where I'm at. And they don't even know they're sitting in rot. I mean, that's what it is. Oh, my life's okay. I'm kind of happy. No, you're not, because for the fact that you have to think about it and actually tell yourself that you're happy and you're content shows already that you're only serving a purpose for yourself. Life is beyond just working a job, everybody. That's not your calling. It might help you get the bills and do some stuff, but doors can open even further when you're on the path of what you should do regardless. And a lot of people can serve where they are, but it's not the point of being complacent. Your name is not supposed to be you're replicating that store, that shop, that restaurant. You're supposed to represent, but you're not supposed to make it your whole entirety. You still can serve your purpose through whatever journey you're having, but you got to make sure that you're standing in solid ground. And the only holy ground you'll ever get is God's. But you need to make sure your solidity is your roots are not connected to the seepage and soil, seepage and sewage that is trying to bring you down, and everything in it that you and only you are meant to do and change. So stop being afraid, stop making excuses for yourself, and stop telling yourself that it's not going to work out. And what do you do? Let all the puzzle pieces come together as they're already formed. You just have to allow them to completely come together. And if some don't fit, just let it go. They'll come together and make it happen for you. I tell you that much. After everything I've been through, I know one thing: never stop putting the pieces together. Okay. Keep it rolling. We love you, but you're amazing. I want to just give this over to you real quick. Send it over to you with some double dose love. Again, this is Lexus T, and this is the Real Double Dose channel. And we also have the Lex Effect coming out, and that's Affect, AFFECT, not Effect. And we're going to be letting you know what's going on with that, with all the links and the revamping. Probably some updates on the website, don't worry, but we're also going to have that main one there so I can start taking on those who want to transition or change. And I got feedback from the team and some others, probably a couple groups that told me the same thing. Hector and Angelo are saying that they wanted to be able to get more transformation and different stuff going on with me in particular. And I didn't really leave that open. And I did that on purpose for a long time, where I was like, no, I'm not ready for calendars. I'm not ready for this. I want to make sure I'm at my prime, and life happens. But ultimately it's about that time. It's been about that time, and I'm sorry that it's taken so long, but with everything grows some kind of level of perfection, even though it'll never be perfect. Anyhow, this is your girl. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to be the change, feel the passion, embrace the power of that spirit that's always flowing in you, calling to you, and moving all around. Don't forget about the hashtag Illumination book that's going to be rolling out soon. And you can see my interview coming up. I've got a couple interviews coming up. Hopefully I can look a little bit better on the camera. I'm just like, it's not about looks, but I want to get a little book. But yeah, it felt good to vibe with everybody here. Yeah, but just remember, hashtag the flower in the landfill. You don't have to be, babies. My real double dose families, you do not have to be. And even if you are right now, we can all find a way to get up out of there and get some clean water, some sun, and some really green grass, and that fruitfulness of the soil, and let everything else sprout out as God plans. So we'll talk to you soon. You're amazing. Reach out to us. Go to www.realdoubledosechannel.com to find out some other updates and some of the links we may have around there if you missed it. We see you on there. Thank you for our analytics going on. S&M, www.spiritandmindelevation.com. That's spiritandmindelevation.com. And many, many more. And don't forget to check out realdoubledosechannel.blogspot.com. That's very much efficient. We're still here with it. And we're going to be having our new guest interviews and rollouts, and some of my interviews rolling out over there as well. We have a lady coming on that has been on our team, a young, sweet lady. Angela considers her her little sister, so she's my little sister as well. She's actually coming over here. I don't know if it's Lahore, Pakistan, or different areas that she's in, New Delhi. Don't quote me wrong, but she's coming over here. She's been with us for a few years. Back and forth with different things to get her schooling and stuff finished. And hopefully we'll be able to have her in the different areas and letting you know what's going on, and maybe giving her story as well, because she's very sweet. But yeah, don't forget to tune into Heck versus Hell with the Truth He Tells every Friday before 5 and 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We love you. You're amazing. Thank you for rolling with me this time. Hashtag the flower in the landfill. Stop being, don't be. Recognize and get up out of there. We love you. You're amazing. And we'll be back with you very, very, very soon.